So by now you're probably aware that Kamala did a 44-minute podcast called Call Her Daddy, and it's only sitting at 500,000 views in over 3 days. Compare that to Donald Trump, who went on the Flagrant podcast, and it's sitting at nearly 1.7 million views in over a day. The reason for this, not only because Trump has a personality, but he doesn't give tone-deaf responses like Kamala and doesn't come across fake. The Call Her Daddy podcast basically only talked about abortion, because that's the only issue Democrat women care about, and even though it's not the only one, I personally favor less inflation over ripping babies out of mothers, but what do I know? But it was so tone-deaf, so bad, that only 7 minutes of the podcast were posted on YouTube. And if you read the comments, they are more entertaining than the actual podcast because everyone saw through the BS. With the use of a plugin, I found that it has over 4 times as many dislikes as it has likes, probably because of clips like this.
At a rally in Pennsylvania, former President Trump recently told women, "You will be protected and I will be your protector." What do you make of that?
So the way I make that is that with a closed border, less women will be prone to getting attacked, murdered, raped, remove the G, and also less female civilians will get bombed in other countries when the wars are stopped, as well as females will have to pay less at the pump, grocery store, etc. But let me take a wild guess by guessing women's rights only equates to abortion in a Democrat's mind.
So he who, when he was president, hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did just as he intended, and there are now 20 states with Trump abortion bans. You don't have to abandon your faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government shouldn't be telling her what to do. If she chooses, she'll talk to her priest, her pastor, her rabbi, her imam.
I never understand the government argument for abortion because are you going to tell a mother that it's her body, her life, her choice, therefore she gets to kill her 3-year-old because he's a burden? No, you'd think that's insane, right? Okay, so what's the difference with abortion then?
I have seen girls on the street walk up to men and be like, "Do you know where a tampon goes? Do you know how many tampons we use? Do you even know how, do you know what a X or Y or Z is of a part of our," and they don't know the answer.
I was the first vice president or president to ever in office go to a reproductive health care clinic.
I want to be clear. This podcast went on while Hurricane Milton was brewing up, and we have our sitting vice president talking about where tampons go. Let that sink in.
I want to pose this question more to you and the Daddy Gang, but one of the biggest conversations in this year's election revolves around a woman's body.
Yep.
I want to take a moment, and can we try to think of any law that gives the government the power to make a decision
I know what you're going to ask.
about a man's body? Let's
No.
just pause.
No.
Because Kamala's brain operates in a 2-dimensional format, she obviously couldn't think of anything because she's never able to think of anything everybody thinks for her. But men have something called the selective service, where in the case of a national emergency, men are called to serve the country if a draft is reinstated. AKA, we have to fight in war. And I'm just wondering where all the DEI protesters are in regards to this law, which are only for men between the ages of 18 and 25. Why aren't they protesting this saying it should be all 69 genders or all ages because that's ageism? Oh, because they are all feminists until it's inconvenient for them. Anyways, this is some of the good stuff that Call Her Daddy talks about. Good stuff or trash stuff, whatever you want to call it. And if you're wondering why Trump gets way more views than Kamala and way more positive comments, it's because he's actually funny.
Over the last week, I have to, when we talk about funny or sad, I think it's more sad than funny.
Yeah.
He has one ability I don't have.
Yeah.
He sleeps. He can sleep. This guy goes on a beach and he lays down on one of those, 6 ounce, they weigh 6 ounces and he can't lift it.
Yeah.
They're meant, no, they're meant for children.
Yeah.
Young people and old people to lift.
Yeah.
They're aluminum, hollowed aluminum.
Yeah.
They weigh very little, and he can't lift. And somebody convinced him he looks good in a bathing suit. And when you're 82, typically bathing suits aren't going to make you look great.
Right,
You're
right.
not going to be enhanced.
Yeah.
All right? It's just one of those things. I can't be sure about that, but typically you don't.
Depends
look
what
good.
he's packing. He could.
I don't know what the hell he's packing, but I don't want to, and I don't want to know either. I don't know, but he has an ability to fall asleep while on camera. He can lie down on one of those things, and in minutes, he's stone cold out.
How does he do it?
And he's got cameras because he's the president, so they have cameras on him. And then they show him sleeping on the beach. You'll never see me sleeping in front of camera.
How do we